Hey friends, so I had a kind of humorous thought that I was going to make a video about a few weeks ago, and then someone left a comment on my most recent YouTube video that reminded me of this topic. And this person was saying that they have become more lean, they've lost weight since being in quarantine, but that they've seen a lot of stuff on social media about gluttony. I guess they've seen a lot of people just kind of flaunting their gluttony, and I haven't seen that personally, but it reminded me of a study I read years ago about this psychological phenomenon that happens in times of scarcity, where if you tell a group of people that there is a shortage of water, for example, then all of a sudden everyone will feel more thirsty than they would have had they not been aware of the shortage. And as a result, we'll end up consuming more water, will drink more water than they otherwise would have. And I was just thinking about how during this time where we are self-quarantining, and for the people who aren't, it very well may become mandatory where you live anyway soon. In times of shortage and scarcity, it can almost seem to have this opposite effect where rather than people rationing more, they actually start eating more than they need to be eating. So I was just thinking, beware of the quarantine weight gain, because I bet we'll see some of that. Anyway, on a practical level, it's just a good idea to be careful about how much you consume. I'm not talking about starving yourself or anything like that, but the less that you eat, the less often you have to go out to stock up on food. And so that's a good idea right now, whether you have prepared or not. It's just a good idea not to eat more than you need to eat. And what I kind of wanted to bring out here was that it is a golden, shining opportunity to practice self-discipline. Even if you do not consider yourself a self-disciplined person by nature, discipline is just a muscle, and you strengthen it by practicing it. So this is a great time to practice that, because it's necessary, or more necessary than it has been for most Americans. People will say, I don't have a self-disciplined personality. It's nice for you that you have a self-disciplined personality, but self-discipline is not a personality thing. It is not a personality trait. It is something that absolutely anyone can develop in themselves. I certainly grant that for some people more than others, there are various factors that have become part of your personality that may make it harder to be self-disciplined. The way you were raised, for example. If you didn't learn how to control yourself or discipline yourself in childhood, that can be harder when you're older. I completely understand that. But it's not something where well, I wasn't born with self-discipline, so it's harder for me. No one was born with self-discipline. That is encouraging because it means that we can practice it and get better at it. It's a very encouraging thing. Anyway, that was just a thought I had, and one thing to practice in quarantine. Okay, and last thought. Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit, and it is something to which we are called in Scripture. We are commanded to be self-controlled and sober. Those things go together. Specifically, it's commanded of us as women quite a bit. Titus 2 would be one example, but it's elsewhere in Scripture as well. So that's something to consider. It's not really optional. Gluttony is a sin, and I think that gluttony, along with gossip and perhaps disrespecting one's husband, is probably one of the top overlooked sins in the church today. This being said, being overweight does not equal automatically being gluttonous. So don't think that I'm automatically equating the two. But eating more than you need, pigging out, it is specifically lacking self-control that I'm talking about. And there are times to eat more and there are times to eat less. And if you're doing that in a controlled way, then it's not a self-control issue. I understand that there are times to, to have a treat, to indulge more than you normally would, and certainly not to the point that you're eating so much that you're wasting food and you are packing on the pounds or whatever. So anywho, this has just been a little exhortation. It was kind of humorous to me because I was thinking about the 1965 movie The Flight of the Phoenix, and their water shortage. Gotta revisit that movie again. Anyway, have a great day.